5622. This is for John M. Norcus.
Mr. Chairman, that one actually is still in the administrative appeal process. I apologize. I should have pulled that earlier.
Okay. So that's off.
That's a good answer.
That is a good answer. We'll move on to notice of assessment appeals. This is for Francis Jenkins, Tropical Auto Brokers, and William E. Iyer. They present? Yes, ma'am. Come on up to the podium. It's pulled up.
Melody, you're first, so.
Yeah, Melody, if you want to go ahead and start.
She's appealing. She's going to give her grounds for an appeal of the notice of assessment. How do we, Sherry, turn the overhead?
What are the set of circumstances?
Well, the circumstance, and procedurally, the initial civil penalty was paid, which is an admission of the violation. And then I think what the officer would have to put on is to show that the violation was continuing.
Yeah. Could we turn on the overhead?
What are you putting up?
No.
Okay, I'm done here. Way to move along, Harry.
Ms. Jenkins, you're going to be speaking today, so were you sworn in?
Yes.
Okay. Name and address for the record, please.
Francis Jenkins, 2410 US 1, Vero Beach, Florida, Tropical Auto Brokers.
Thank you. Melody, were you going to are you going to put something up here for us?
Yeah, but we won't turn it on.
Be off. Did you put something on there?
No.
Give it just a minute, because it'll.
There we go.
There's a zoom button on there.
Oh,
Zoom it out.
There you go.
She got it.
Yeah. All you have to do is get up, and
that's right.
instant fix. When you get up, everything is square.
Okay.
Miss Jenkins is Tropical Auto Sales, and that's just a site plan of her location.
Okay. Ms. Jenkins, what would you like to say?
Well, I totally came unprepared, but this is my fault. I didn't know. I'd never been to here before. I've been in business since 1986. Apparently, since January, we've been out of our zoning code with vehicles improperly put. We did receive 2 letters. My son signed for one. I'm not really sure who signed for the other. And the only defense I have is really personal. I take care of my 86 and 88-year-old parents with dementia, and my mother had broken her hips 3 times since January 31st. My son-in-law and my grandson tried to keep my business going while I took care of my parents. I think I've corrected all the violations as soon as I got the notices, and I'm sorry for getting emotional. But yes, they were where they weren't supposed to be, and I'm sorry I didn't catch it right in the beginning. But I've been in business long enough since '86 that I've never ever given the city a problem. And as I went through all the steps to correct it, which I think I've corrected everything in the past 2 weeks, I plan on keeping it up to date. And I'm truthfully sorry. That's all I can say.
Well, you paid the violation, right?
Correct.
And that's an admission of violation.
Right.
Yes, I don't deny that whatsoever.
So what are you here for now? What do you want us to do?
I think that's a question for Officer Sanderson. What are we here for at this point? She's paid the violation. She's admitted. Has the violation been corrected?
She was cited for a couple of things.
Okay.
They have been corrected. The area of green is her sales display area. Underneath the overhang, there are vehicles where it says 8, where it says existing building. There's trucks and trailers north of the building, and down the back where it shows customer parking, there's 15-plus cars there. So she was given a site plan on August 3rd through the planning department and asked to keep the cars for sale in the designated sales area.
Which is, clarify that area for me.
The green.
The green.
So if she can just contain the cars for sale there, that keeps her in with her site plan.
Okay.
If I can just
Yes, sir.
interject, I think the issue was the notice of assessment was issued because the violation had not been corrected by the
Yes,
date given
correct.
by the officer.
Correct.
So the question would be, when was it finally brought into violation or into correction of the violation, and does the board want to assess any additional penalties for that time period?
Everything was corrected. I went and saw a lady named Gail at the zoning or at the planning department, and my green area should have had 40 plants. I had it redone, had 41 put in, all trimmed up and mulch, and that was done by last Wednesday.
Correct. We just need the additional vehicles outside of the sales display area to be removed.
Have they been moved, Mrs. Jenkins? Are they in the?
Well, no, the trailers haven't, because that's between a building and it holds tires instead of leaving.
Yeah, but the trailer's not something that's in question, right? Just the cars that are for sale. The cars that are for sale need to be within the green area, right?
If I might.
Sure.
Have you also obtained your business tax receipt now?
Yes. These additional vehicles here have been removed since this morning. These vehicles have been removed, and these vehicles have been removed since this morning.
This area right here, those aren't for sale. That's where we wash our vehicles.
Okay.
Melody, you really need to get this on the record.
Okay.
Use the microphone, please.
Okay, so
Where she's going to show us. The bottom one on the right-hand side, that's where we wash our vehicles when we get them in from the auction. Those aren't necessarily for sale. The ones between the two buildings, they had showed me a line, and I'm not sure it's the actual line, but I've put vehicles there since 1986. I didn't know that that wasn't allowed. And under the canopy, where she's got the arrow on the top left, she's right, there is 4 there. We'd always had 2. We had a green area in there. And approximately, I'm going to guess 8 years ago, the city came and they took out our green area, which was, I'm going to say, like 3 or 4 shrubs, and they took the sidewalk and molded it into our front canopy. But cars have always been there. I didn't know that was not in compliance. The
Melody.
rest of the vehicles that were in the next building, which I thought she got us for, those have all been removed.
Melody,
But I can,
the cars under the canopy, that's the sales area that you were referring to. Is that the green area that you?
See where the little chain is?
No.
Melody, your microphone's not on.
Where the chain area is between the posts.
Top left?
Top left.
Okay. So,
Top left what?
yeah, top left. Is that like?
Left picture.
I'm asking where the sales area that was designated as green on the previous page. Is that
Starting with that post,
okay?
and then the sales area is on the south side of the property.
So they're technically there shouldn't be any automobiles underneath that canopy. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
And then across the back of the property, running along the side street is all vehicles, and that goes beyond the sales area also.
where you see the middle picture on the bottom, vehicles are there. Sometimes we get vehicles in that need batteries or an alternator or tires. Those are vehicles that come and they wait there to get repaired by us. The one on the bottom right, those were vehicles that shouldn't be there. They're in the building next door, which is owned by my father. My father owns both of these properties.
Ms. Jenkins, what's changed since 1986? I think you said you haven't had a violation in all your years in business since 1986. So I know
No.
you've been away, and maybe a few things have been done a little bit differently in your absence. But what's changed overall in that time?
The only thing that was really changed is during the hurricane, and I can't give you an exact year if it was 2004 or 5. We had bottle brush. We had 3 bottle brushes where the oaks are. They were quite destroyed, and we had a palm tree right at the south corner of the building. I talked to, I'm not sure who, somebody in zoning back then. I replaced the bottle brush with 3 oaks and took out the palm. And we had to put a sidewalk in. Not a sidewalk. We had to put a curb in right about where the second palm is, and we did that. And then the city came through a couple of years ago and put the yellow ramp up on the sidewalk, and that's when they took our green space out of the front.
But do you possibly have more stock, more automobiles on the lot than you typically would? Is it kind of overflowing at the moment, or
It might be.
yeah?
Unfortunately, we're seasonal. When the economy in Vero, when the workers work and people come down, we have more vehicles than what we have generally in the summer. In the summer, things kind of slow down quite a bit. And when the things got to mess, like I said, I'll take full responsibility. It was not intentional, but yes, the vehicles got out of hand.
Okay, so the way I understand it, then we had a violation, we had an admission of guilt, paid
Yes.
it, and we still are in violation. But
If we're in violation, I can have those moved.
Yeah, I
I
was
didn't
thinking-
assume that. I know vehicles were there back in 86, 90. If that had changed, I don't know. Truthfully, I can't
I know.
remember exactly.
how many cars are there and where they're parked right now? I
Right.
know. But could we
But-
give her the opportunity to correct the violation and just say, okay, thanks?
Yeah, I'd give
Yeah.
her 30 days, and at the end of 30 days, I impose the fine.
I agree. Was that a motion?
I'll make that as a motion.
Thank you.
And-
Yes, sir.
It was just, you don't have to find any violation because there was a violation,
Yeah,
but
she's still
give her
in
give her
violation.
the 30 days
Yeah,
to
extension.
finish the correction.
Give her the
and
30 days
let it come
extension.
back and see if you know,
Correct
for a
the rest of the
compliance
violation.
report.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
One question.
Yes, ma'am.
You had the cars removed from under the canopy? Isn't that where that's part of your sales floor, right?
Yes.
So we're telling her she can't have cars there? Is that what we're saying? No.
That's not
Well,
part of our sales, that's just part
It's
of the
whatever
canopy.
the site
Yeah.
plan shows. She has to comply with that.
And
But the
even if
site
she-
plan doesn't really show whether there's vehicles there are any or not, because there's the canopies. I don't know how long a car is, but the canopy's about 4 feet past a car. We have room to walk in the front of a vehicle and in the back. But if she would like 2 vehicles up there instead of 4, I'm fine with that. I'll do anything to
Makes no difference to
comply
me.
with what you'd like.
Makes no difference to me.
Yeah, I think what I'd like to see you do, I think that figure out where the cars can be, exactly, where they can't be, and then make the changes accordingly so that you don't have this problem again.
That's not a problem.
But other than that, I'd like to give her 30 days to make that correction. Okay, so Mr. Fletcher made the motion. I'll second it. All in favor? All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, Mrs. Jenkins.
Thank you, and I'm awfully sorry about this.
No, I appreciate you coming in.
And thank you, Melody.
Okay, request for board order, case number 15-CE-5706 is for Joshua and Gloria Jenkins at Dagwoods.
Case number 0599T 15CE5706. The violator of Joshua and Gloria Jenkins at Dogwoods. It's for construction without a permit. No permit has been pulled to this point, and citation has not been paid.
I've been applied
Mr. Jenkins,
for.
were you sworn in?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was.
State your name and address.
Josh Jenkins.
Where do you live?
What's that?
What's your address?
835 17th Street, Suite 107, Vero Beach.
Thank you, sir.
I'm trying to still get my permit issued. I think I'm some benches, some seating away from them saying yes. Other than that, as soon as I get the permit, everything will be up to compliance. I'm still going through the process. I hired Greg Burke as my architect. I did have somebody originally that pulled it, but that deal kind of fell through. He never did follow through with the drawings, and then Ms. Hunter came and reissued me a citation for not being compliant. And I even thought I was compliant. I told her that day, but come to find out I wasn't. So we got a new architect, a new Giordana Construction is pulling my permit. We're just waiting on Rich Marini. He was the last one to sign off on my seating because they're saying my benches held 6 is what he was trying to say, but they only hold 4. He said there was 12 inches left. That was a third of a person. His interpretation of the fire code is wrong. I got Greg Burke, and the actual his higher up is going to say that
Whose interpretation of the code
the
is?
Rich Marini's interpretation of the width of the bench. He shouldn't round up, which when he rounded up, it said 6 people sat at my booth, and they still only hold 4 and a third person. That a third person is not considered another seat. That was his interpretation. That the benches actually held 6, and they only hold 4 and a third. And so it's his interpretation that caused the permit to not get issued. That's the only thing holding it up right now. Other than that, I would be compliant. I didn't know there was a penalty to be paid. If there's a penalty to be paid, I'll pay it. But I didn't know there was a penalty up until this point.
Ms. Hunter?
Yes, the permit was applied for on June 11th. And Mr. Rich Marini, it looks like he made comments on July 1st and on July 22nd. And I have the comments here. And then I know Giordani Construction was in this morning, you know, I don't know what time, early, but to speak with Rich, and Rich is not in the office. So, but he's had since July 1st and July 22nd, and he did come in today.
And this is, the penalty is $100, correct?
Correct. It's $100 and $50.85 of costs. He was issued the citation for $100, and it was delivered certified mail and received 2 days later.
So the citation's been paid, but not the cost?
No,
Nothing's been paid.
Nothing's
no
been
payment.
I'll pay it. Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with paying. The citation, I didn't know that was the issue. But yeah,
And
I'll
the
pay it.
permit, you said the permits are pulled now, or?
Well, we've applied for it. It hasn't been issued. The last thing that was holding the thing up was I can't go over 50 seats for my square footage. If they counted my benches as 6, I would go over that. If they counted it as 4, I'd be well under. So it's just an interpretation of my architect and my engineer felt that Rich was misinterpreting what the width of the booth could be for the amount of occupants could sit on it. And that was the only holdup of it. Otherwise, we'd have a permit.
Yes, it is to do with occupancy load.
This fines to do, this
No,
penalty?
but the reason there's not a permit.
Oh, it's
You had
because they
asked-
need to, but then they were doing construction before that was figured out, right?
Yeah, I owe the fine.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I owe the fine.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I think you do, Mr.
No, I know. I definitely did some construction without a permit. But
Yeah, I think you're fine. I'm going to make a motion that there is a violation and that the fine of $100 plus the cost of civil penalty of, I'm sorry, for the cost of enforcement, $50.85 stands.
Second.
Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Is the board finding that the violation has been corrected now?
No.
No, not yet. It's not going to be,
Well, that's
because there's no, the permit hasn't been pulled and it can't be pulled until,
well, then I need to interject here that probably
Sure.
what you need to do is order correction by a date, by 30 days or whatever.
and
And if we
withhold
want
the
You
fine
can
attached
impose
to
those
it.
penalties and the costs, or you can hold up until you find it has been corrected.
except there was construction being
no, I
done
owe
when there
the.
wasn't a
I'd
permit.
already
Been open.
admitted to that
Yeah.
in the
Yeah,
first
there was-
meeting.
Yeah, I think the fine's going to stand,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, certainly we could.
Yeah,
The
I'd
point
already
is
agreed
if
to that once
in-
before.
In 30 days, if you find it still has not been corrected as ordered, then you could then impose substantially more
Recurring
penalties.
fine, yeah.
Right. Okay.
I'm gonna go pay
So,
it.
so I'll tell you, we'll give you 30 days. The motion will be we'll give you 30 days to correct the violation, and the penalty of $100 plus the cost of enforcement of $50.85 stands.
All right, so we'll go pay that.
Okay. And so I do have a second on that, correct?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Jenkins.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you. Okay, case number 15-CE-5770, Justin Russ and Randall Flincham.
I'll give the background of the case.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, Randall Flincham.
Been sworn in, Mr. Flincham?
1953 Robalo, Vero Beach.
You've been sworn in, Mr. Flincham?
Yes, sir.
Great. We're going to let staff make their statement first. Thank you.
All right, case 15 CE 5770, Justin Russell and Randall Flincham were cited for an accessory structure converted to a residence without approval, boat, jet skis, and trailers stored in the required front yard, and unlicensed or inoperable motor vehicles at 2325 18th Avenue. Citation service was provided by return receipt dated June 25, 2015. No request for a hearing on the citation was received, so a hearing to contest the citation was waived and the violation deemed admitted by the violator. The violation of boat, jet skis, and trailers in the required front yard has been corrected. The violation of unlicensed or inoperable vehicles has been corrected, and the accessory structure is still being utilized as an apartment. No enforcement costs are requested by the city.
So we've got, everything's been corrected but the apartment.
Right, lot size doesn't support 2 units.
Okay. Mr. Flincham, what say you?
Well, I bought the place 20 years ago, and it was an apartment then, and it looked like it was an apartment since the 1950s. It had a terrazzo floor and mud set tiles, and as far as the size of the lot, most of those lots are around the same size over there, and there's duplexes all over the place, and there's actually there's a duplex right across the street, and that lot looks like it lines up with my lot, so it's probably the same size. There's two. The city's been using it as, or been qualifying it as 2 units. It's 2 electric bills, 2 meters, 2 garbages, and this is all a big surprise to me. I've owned it, like I said, 20 years, and I get this in the mail like a month ago.
Mr. Commit, has anything changed in the code that would have prompted this infraction? I mean,
we'll have to.
A complaint
officer would
was
know more
made
than-
and it was
more than-
investigated. It showed that the garage apartment was there. It was verified through utilities. Talked to the planning director. He's the one who determined based on lot size it does not permit per units, 2 units.
so, and you've had that apartment rented out for how long again? 20, you said?
Well, I've owned it for 20 years, but when I had it, it was obviously it wasn't just converted. It was. I mean, like I said, it's terrazzo floors. I don't know when the last time they did terrazzo floors, so it had to be in the 60s. And I think the place was built 55 or 53 or somewhere around there. But I bought and sold, and I lived there for 14 years in original town, and I can tell you about 50% of the buildings over there are not in compliance. And I questioned Melody about that, and she said, well, they've got it all changed too, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, because that's not happening.
I'm sorry, I said what?
You said they'll have to change. They will have to make changes also. When I told you about 50% of the other places aren't in
It's
compliance.
addressed on complaints, yes.
So you're going to bring a lot of new violations to us then?
If it comes up,
If it comes
Mr.
up.
Flincham made the complaint of the property behind him, and based on the lot size, then that is okay with the unit that's on the back of that.
I'm curious, is it typical, maybe you know the answer to this question, is it typical for a additional building on the same lot to have a meter and its own electric meter and so forth, as though it was a two separate accounts altogether?
I can't speak on behalf of utilities.
And the on property appraiser's website, it's platted as one property? So there's one address, not two?
There's one address. It's one's A and B. The way the post office does it. But yes, it's one piece of property. Two meters, and I assume since the place was built, it's been 2 units.
Right.
I mean, 2 garbage pickups. I mean, I got two separate bills that come in.
That is very interesting. This sounds like something that the city hasn't corrected over time, or maybe made a mistake on at the beginning.
But still, he's in violation.
Where did you get the complaint from?
People have the right to remain anonymous when they make a complaint.
It's a neighbor.
Call in.
It could be anybody.
Somebody calls it in, and we investigate. We go out and document what's there.
What-
I didn't know about the apartment, so I met with
If all the
McGarry.
vehicles hadn't been there, you probably wouldn't have even known about it.
Wouldn't have come up on my radar.
What do you have down as the zoning district? The property appraiser is showing it as single family.
Single family.
So how can you have 2 units? 2 living units?
Well, the zoning is RM 10 to 12.
Oh, so they don't go that far. I don't have the zoning map in front of me.
I'm showing it as single to multifamily zoned RM zoning 10 to 12 units. That's why.
But then it's the size of the lot that restricts
right. I took it to McGarry, and he did the lot size and the calculation, and says that it doesn't support 2 dwelling units.
Is there a chance that this calculation was within a fraction, or even there was a slight mistake? Perhaps?
I don't know. He
Because-
told me it didn't support 2 units.
There's units over there. Matter of fact, right across the street. It's the same size lot. It's got a duplex built there. I mean, they're all over the place. On my way here, I drove down and wrote down 4 addresses that have the exact same thing.
Well, they may be in here next month. I don't know.
Well,
They're violating too, but
these things
what
have been built since the 50s.
What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to present a case, if you will, for you in that how could you have known?
Yeah,
that
well,
this was
the thing
violation?
is,
the problem is moving forward. If indeed it is a violation, you've got to get whoever's in there out of there.
But like all those places over there, I mean, the house I owned over there, it was in the setback. I mean, a lot of those things are not in compliance, and that's just the way it was back in the 50s. And to go in there and make people change your lifestyle, that's kind of, I don't know. I don't think that's correct.
Well, some of those are grandfathered in because of the date they were built.
Sure, exactly. But
And I wonder if his would be grandfathered in because of the date it was built.
I think so.
Officer Sanderson, is that a possibility? Could this be a property that would be grandfathered in?
It could be a legally non-conforming use if at some point when it was built, it was permissible to have 2 units on that lot. Maybe the lot sizes have changed. I don't know. I don't have the history of the property in front of me, so.
I don't. It would be a
This is a Tim
discretion
Gary
and
question.
determination of the planning
I
department.
mean, the only way is if it was legal at the time it was constructed and something has changed having to do with the lot size or the code has changed as to the required lot size, it could then become what's considered a legally non-conforming. It's non-conforming, but it's grandfathered, so it's legal.
Right, and because of the circumstances, I'm not convinced that it's not non-conforming.
This sounds like one that could take some more research.
Yeah.
Wayne, could you get with Tim and do this, or you want
Well,
to?
I think the officer will need to do that,
Okay.
get with the planning director and look into more of the history of the property. Looks like, Mr. Flincham, you acquired it in what, 1996
I'm not sure. It's been about 20 years.
is what I'm showing on the property appraiser.
19 years.
Let's set this aside for 30 days or until the next meeting,
Yeah,
and you can get together with Tim McGarry.
and we'll base our decision on whatever the findings are at that time.
Sounds good.
Okay, so that
Can
we
I
have to-
speak?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It was built in 1940, so
Wow,
the
that's
building department has
Yeah.
records back to 1936, so we can, possibly have the building.
You're saying that it could possibly be grandfathered, right?
I'm just saying we
Well, it
can
would
have
depend on
what they
the zoning
permitted
at
in
the time.
1940 in
Right.
archives on microfilm.
Okay, let's find out. And we may find that you're actually not in any kind of violation. So 30 days or so, we'll put it off till next month.
What would I don't understand whether they've been operating it. I mean, I can't imagine someone saying, "Hey, I just built an illegal garage apartment. Can you run me a meter and start charging me for garbage?" I mean, that's something I guess the city's done for years.
Do you pay a separate tax on that building, or
Nope, it's just one.
Yeah, it's one property ID number.
Okay. How about you do pay electric separate? How about the garbage pickup?
Yeah, I got both bills here.
I'm take your word for it. Okay. So do we need a motion to?
You need a motion to continue.
Okay, I
next
make a
month.
motion that we
Go ahead.
have a continuation for 30 days to find out if this, in fact, is a property that's not in violation. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thanks, Mr.
Thank you.
Okay, case number 15-CE-5637, Lawrence Thompson.
0592T, 15 CE 5637 for Loris Thompson. This is a board order. I'm requesting costs of $61.77 and a citation of $500 for a total of $111.77. It's for excessive unstored items and/or trash or debris throughout the property and an unregistered vehicle. There's been no change since the notice of assessment, and I'm requesting continuing penalties.
And it would be in order to correct the violation also.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we board order that the violation is corrected and that the cost of enforcement is $61.77. What was the other cost? You said it was $111?
I think it was a $50 penalty, but I heard $500.
Oh, yeah.
It's 50.
$50 penalty stands. That was the last part of the motion.
Okay.
So do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Case number 15-CE-5602, JT and Jordan Wakeland.
Jordan Wakeland contacted me this morning. They just returned to town. They will hire an engineer to draw up plans. I told her it had gone to hearing, so as soon as she could get the plans and finish the code compliance and obtain a permit, we would be happy to come back before the board requesting a reduction. But as it stands now, the penalty's been paid and just asking for a board order.
And still not in compliance.
No.
And this would be another one, order to correct and assessing continuing penalties, which you could modify at a later date if you.
Okay.
It's up to you, or you could just do an order to correct. But the violation obviously has been admitted.
No, I think the penalties should stand. Let me make a motion that there is a violation and that the board issue an order to correct the violation and that the civil penalty still stands, and we'll look at this again.
And imposing the continuing penalties.
Oh, and imposing continuing penalties.
Was there costs, Melody?
No.
No cost.
No costs at this time.
Do I have a second?
Yes. Second.
Thank you. Hang on. I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Case number 15-CE-5670, City Mortgage, Cecil R. Bays.
Cases before the board today to find that the property came in compliance on 7/13/2015 and ask that the daily penalty be stopped on that date.
I'm sorry, the date again?
7/13/2015.
Thank you. Hi there. What's
Hi,
your,
my name's Lauren Wages. I'm here on behalf of City Mortgage.
are you sworn in, Lauren?
I was. I'm also an attorney. I'm here
okay.
on behalf of City Mortgage. My address is 9210 King Palm Drive, Tampa, Florida 33619.
Thank you.
I did have the opportunity to speak to Ms. Sanderson yesterday. She advised me the property was brought into compliance. I'm not very familiar with these procedures. I do notice that the violation went out to both us and to Cecil Bays, who is the property owner. We have initiated a foreclosure action against The borrower, the foreclosure action has not been complete, but I assume we were named because we had a lis pendens filed that indicated that we had initiated a foreclosure action. We did serve Mr. Bays at the property address in our foreclosure action in September. I'm not sure if Ms. Sanderson knows if the property's vacant at this point or not. So I'm not sure when our obligation picks up versus Mr. Bays' obligation. To my knowledge, he's still in the property, although I believe we are the ones that ultimately brought it into compliance. I don't know if Ms. Sanderson has any information about that or not. So my client would like to determine whether we're responsible for these penalties or whether Mr. Bays should be responsible for these penalties at this point. We don't have certificate of title or anything. We're just preserving the property pursuant to the mortgage. And if, in fact, the board finds that my client is responsible for these penalties, we would request a reduction in the penalties.
Wayne, is this the one that's been going on for 2 years?
Yeah, it's been going on for a while. And to answer a question, technically, City Mortgage is not the owner.
Right.
So they're not
They're not liable.
really going to be liable for the penalties.
Right.
It's really Cecil Bays. I think the mortgage company's put on there for notice purposes, but technically it's going to be Mr. Bays up until the property is sold.
And we know that, or at least history tells us, Mr. Bays is going to continue with a
Yeah,
violation.
he's not going to do anything.
That's right. And it may help them to take title if we were to, in fact, reduce the fees, perhaps.
Well, until there's a judgment of foreclosure and it goes to public sale, at which the bank could certainly buy it and become the owner.
Okay.
But until there's an owner that we know there's a change, it's
And we have a long history of cleaning up this property. We've been on the property twice this year, January and February, to secure the property from the owner's son who occupied the residence, started it on fire, illegal activity.
Good. So
we
it's
have
costing
cleaned
the
it up
taxpayer.
and mowed it and cleaned it up and mowed it and cleaned it up and mowed it.
Right. Okay.
Repeatedly.
Okay.
And if I may speak briefly, I think that if the city does impose a lien because of these, if they go unpaid, that ultimately my client will have to pay them. So it doesn't look like Mr. Bays is taking responsibility for this property. So I would, again, I guess, request reduction of the fees because I think ultimately we will have to pay them if he does not.
Right. I think we'll have to make that assessment at the time that the title changes. So for now, yes, sir.
Well, once it's reduced to an order and it's recorded, then it goes to the city council for any reduction. This board wouldn't see it again.
Okay.
So, you could at this time reduce it to a set amount if you felt the urge to do that.
No, I don't think he deserves any consideration whatsoever. We've been putting time and money into this place forever.
I agree that he does not, but I don't think he's going to pay it. And again, I think it will encumber our ability to foreclose. It'll ultimately be something the bank is going to have to pay because I don't think Mr. Bays will. I don't know what the penalty is for him not paying it, but my understanding is that if a lien is placed for this type of thing, we would have to pay it to clear title at the end of the foreclosure action.
That's right.
So ultimately, by not reducing it, I don't think he'll end up paying it. It will end up being us.
And we need to recoup some cost.
And often what happens is the purchaser, whoever buys it, whether it be the bank or somebody else, they typically they're going to take it subject to any liens.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Liens
right.
go with the property.
Yeah, that's kind of the way. I understand exactly where you're coming from. I do. I
You're stuck
understand that.
in between.
But you're stuck in the middle, and this is the way we've always done it. And we typically don't reduce a fine because there's the potential for a lien. So I'm gonna make a motion that the property. Sorry, thanks for coming in. I'm going to make a motion that the property is still in violation. And
Well,
that,
actually,
yes,
I think she said it was corrected as of July 13th.
I'm sorry, you did.
So basically, there was a notice of assessment issued. So it would be just that you would stop the fines as of July 12th is been the policy the day before the.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion then that the fines stop at July the 12th and that
Property's in conformity.
the property is no longer in violation and that the civil penalty still stands.
Has that amount increased since the date of the notice, since we haven't brought it? What's the total amount that?
I think it was 18.
It would be the difference between, on July 8th, was a total of $1,850, so it would be just between the 8th and the 12th, so it's just it's
And
another.
then if it doesn't get paid, then it'll be recording fees as
Another
well
4
as attorney
days
fees.
at $50 per day, so another $200, so $2,050, plus there would be recording fees, and there's a small fee for preparing a release of lien.
Okay.
Do you have a guesstimation as when the foreclosure is going to go through?
I do not. Actually just transferred to our firm from another firm that went out of business, so I think we're in the process of amending our complaint, so we're still a little ways
good for
out.
you.
So
Yeah.
my question is so that could take anywhere up to 6 months. So who's going to be responsible for keeping the lot?
I would just ask if there's any more violations that you please continue to copy us, because we'll probably fix them to avoid the assessment.
Someone, I
of any-
believe, Ashley at City Mortgage has advised, Ashley. Someone else has advised verbally on the phone that now it would be on a 2-week mow schedule, which
Okay.
would be wonderful.
That's great. Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Yeah,
good.
they usually do take those property preservation steps if the borrower is not. But if any future violations come up, please send them to us so that we can try to remedy it before any more fines get
Absolutely.
assessed.
We noticed them when the son illegally took occupancy. We noticed the bank when he started it on fire. We noticed the bank every time it gets overgrown and litter strewn. So we do try to notice the bank. We know you're not responsible, but we're trying to help you protect your interests as well.
And we appreciate that.
Yeah, and let me finish this. There's a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Lauren, I'm sorry I didn't catch your last name, so I'm referring to you as Lauren, but thank you for coming.
It's wages. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you actually in-house with Citibank?
No, I'm with Daniel Kinswager's office in Tampa. We're the firm handling the foreclosure.
Do you want her to directly notify your firm or you about any future violations?
Yes, you certainly can.
Do you have a card you could leave with
I
her,
do.
maybe?
I'll grab that for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
That'd be great.
Thank you for your time. Okay, meanwhile, we'll move on to case number 15-E-5860. This is Learning Garden.
Requesting a board order for 15 CE 5860. Learning Garden was cited for a sign violation at 2175 Atlantic Boulevard. Service of the citation was provided by return receipt July 20th. No request for a hearing on the citation was received. The violation has been corrected. No enforcement cost requested. Just asking the board if issue a board order for the initial penalty of $50.
Okay. I make a motion that the violation's been corrected as of July 20th and that the initial penalty of $50 stands. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Seeing light at the end of the tunnel here.
Maybe. 15, this is case number 15-CE-5775, Bank of America.
15 CE 5775, citation number 0667T, Bank of America, was cited for grass, weeds, and undergrowth in excess of 12 inches, garbage, rubbish, and trash strewn throughout the property. Requesting a board order for costs of $60.37 and a citation of $50 for a total of $110.37. Citation was provided by certified mail. The property is not in compliance, and I am requesting continuing penalties.
Okay. Make a motion that.
Well,
yes, sir.
Can we hold on just a second? Is Bank of America the owner?
Yes.
Okay, they actually have title.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that the board issue an order that the citation of $50 stands, civil cost of enforcement of $60.30 stands, as well as the per diem fine of $50 per day. And did I mention that it's not in compliance?
Yes.
Did I say that?
Order to
You
correct.
didn't yet, but
Wish you an order to correct. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Yeah.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Case number 15-CE-5451, the Saucy Pig. The Saucy Pig.
So
Saucy. So here it's very.
The Saucy Pig, the Tashima Brown, was cited for failure to obtain a business tax receipt at 3365 Aviation Boulevard. Citation service was provided by certified return receipt. No request for a hearing on the citation. The violation has not been corrected. There's a difference of opinion in the code. I do understand Mr. Brown's position. He believes that he is covered.
Well, unfortunately, when he didn't request a hearing, the violation was admitted.
True.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
that's right. So
board could find differently, I suppose.
Okay. I understand Mr. Brown thinks that he is under the occupational license of Airport Chevron. He is not. He has a different name and a different entity. And code requires any person operating more than one type of business at the same location shall obtain a separate business tax. So with his documentation, Airport Chevron has obtained a business tax, but that is for Airport Chevron, who requires a business tax. In order for the Saucy Piggy to serve and have signage and be located and run a business through there, the city says he needs a business tax.
Okay. Mr. Brown, because I think you're going to have to you're probably going to want to say something. Were you sworn in?
Yeah.
Okay. And would you state your name and address for the record, please?
Shima Brown, 3365 Aviation Boulevard, Vero Beach, Florida.
Thank you, sir. So what we have here, as far as I've heard and I understand, is that you didn't have a what was it called, a business license?
Business tax receipt.
For the Saucy Pig within the Chevron business?
In this particular location, I don't need to have a business tax. It is all ran under the Chevron. The Saucy Pig as an entity is the business that I created.
Nope, doesn't work that way.
Excuse me?
Doesn't work that way.
What doesn't work that way?
Separate entity. You have to have two separate.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the Saucy Pig name off of it. That gas station is legally allowed to operate a kitchen out of it. Period. It's a gas station with significant food. It is legally able to do so. So if the big deal is they're calling their kitchen the Saucy Pig opposed to the Saucy Bear, whatever, we'll lose the Saucy Pig name. Here's your $50 fine. Here's your licensing. I need it to go away. Take my name off of all paperwork, and this is the Airport Chevron's baby. The guy that owns Airport Chevron, a very good friend of mine, he just bought the business. I built a very reputable name. He wanted to use the name. Sure, I have a problem with it. I'm still building a name. I own a restaurant in Fellsmere, full blown. I own a restaurant in the Chevron on 17th that I've closed. He owned that Chevron. He moved to aviation. I moved and bought my own building.
Okay.
He's wanting to use the name that's been with him the past 4 years on 17th Street. Why would I tell him no? Vero Beach makes it very hard for a small business to survive. I'm going to put it out there. So if the Saucy Pig name is an issue for his kitchen, we'll lose the Saucy Pig name. We'll call it the Saucy Hog under Airport Chevron. Whatever we got to do. The little, it's calling Saucy Pig, is this, is that. I really don't have time for it. So she assessed a $50 fine for a sign that was already on the building when he took the building over. She sent the police to deliver it, opposed to herself, for whatever reason. Grant you. We have since removed the sign, obtained the license. Here's the receipts. And if you're taking a position to tell me that I have to remove the name Saucy Pig from this gas station.
Only if you don't have the license.
All of the licensing is under the gas station.
Nope.
Except you've got a separate name under the gas station. So
here's what's going to happen.
A couple questions?
Yeah.
That gas
Mr.
station.
Brown, let's hear what Mr. Commit has to say.
How do you operate the Saucy Pig at that location?
I advise him. He has his own employees there.
I'm sorry?
He has his own employees there. He uses my name, which is a great name in this town, whether you guys been there or not. Been working very hard at it. Like I said, I moved and opened a restaurant. He opened a kitchen inside of his gas station. Asked me if he could use the name Saucy Pig. Sure. It can only help both of us.
So you do not operate a business at that location?
I don't have any license at that location.
He has a kitchen and runs it and just uses the name Saucy Pig?
I advise him as well.
You advise him?
Yes, I do.
Does he pay you for that?
No. He doesn't need to pay me for that. He's a friend. But here's how I'm going to solve this. We're going to drop the name Saucy Pig. He seems to smirk and thinks it's funny or whatever. I totally, knew coming in here and seeing this was going to be brutal. It was going to be made more than what it needs to be. I have nothing but been legit and respected and done right in this town since I've been here. Not from here, built a business here. Okay? So, when I closed there, I opened a full-blown restaurant. He bought another gas station. Can I use the name? Absolutely. No problem. So if you're taking the position to tell me that he cannot use the name Saucy Pig, first I want to know why. Is it in the law that he can't use that name?
Well, it depends on if it's two separate businesses. You're saying it's not. You're saying that he owns Chevron.
Let me say this. If it's considered two separate businesses because I have a restaurant elsewhere, if that's saying that it's two separate businesses, because he has nothing to do with my restaurant, so that is definitely my restaurant, my business. Now, if him using the name is saying it's two separate, then I'm wrong. I'll admit that I'm wrong, and I'll take the name off it. I will totally take the name off it. But my business is regulated by hotels and restaurants. His business is regulated by Department of Agriculture. Only thing the same is the name. So if that name is creating all this fuss, he can call it the Saucy Hog. I don't care. But I will absolutely still advise him on making that kitchen the best it will be.
Mr. Commit, is there a criteria that says that, okay, Mr. Brown is not the owner of the Saucy Pig at that location, but in fact, what's your friend?
I am the owner of the Saucy Pig in Fellsmere.
Right.
Well, I don't have anything to do with the Saucy Pig per se in that gas station.
And
that is his gas station, his kitchen.
And the employees in the kitchen are employees of the gas station.
He pays their checks.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I was getting at. Is there actually a separate business being operated on that location? Does he pay for the privilege of that?
No, he's not a
saying
landlord.
No.
He's not a landlord. I don't pay him rent.
Mr. Brown, give me just a moment. I want to understand this.
So is this a sign problem? A sign violation?
No.
No.
Is there a sign?
It's before you to determine whether it's just the kitchen. If it's just the kitchen, then there's no violation.
What makes? I'm not clear on what makes. Why did the officer issue the citation based on what facts?
The sign.
That it was a separate entity doing business there.
How do we know it was a separate entity?
We don't.
And
because it was.
I think Mr. Brown should be able to provide proof that it's not, that it's the Chevron owner.
That proof right here. The owner is Aziz. I'm not the owner of that. Here's the owner right here. I'm not the owner of that gas station. I'm not the owner of that kitchen. But I will advise him whether we change the name or not on how to make that kitchen successful, because that's what I do. He is a very good friend of mine.
Well, let me tell you, you do have a good name in town, and what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to find the best path for you. I don't know why you change the name when it's well known, So
because now she's saying it's not a sign issue. When initially brought to me, it was said that, you cannot have that sign there.
Well,
then we said the sign was there when we bought the building.
Did it say Saucy Pig on it?
No. It didn't say Saucy Pig on it. But it wasn't about the Saucy Pig. It was about the structure. We need to have it permitted, and it can be structurally sound. This was the initial issue. Once we satisfied that, now I'm hearing about the kitchen part. Several times I've tried to call Miss Sanderson. Absolutely no response. Or when we did respond, it was very negative. Very negative. So eventually she sent the police to deliver some papers.
Where was that delivered?
When that happened, there was a gentleman in there buying lunch. So I used to work for code enforcement. That is not how that's done. The feeling that I'm getting and have been getting, and like I said, since I walked through this door, I already knew it was going to be brutal. This is not what I want to do. This is not what I do. So if I have to just simply switch the name and still advise him and still make that the best it could be, that's what I'm going to do.
Let's figure that out. Mr. Commit?
Were you served with the papers from the code enforcement?
And yes, it says.
At what location? Where?
Huh?
Where? Where were you when you were served?
No, they weren't served. They were brought to the gas station.
Well, that means served. Brought to who? Who were they left with?
I wasn't there. They were just
What do
left
you mean
there.
papers, Wayne?
Huh?
What do you mean papers?
The citation.
The citation.
They were left at the gas station.
No, the citation was by certified return receipt
Oh, okay. And what was the address? The
to
gas station?
3365 Aviation Boulevard.
I'm trying not to be too personal, but I have to ask you, under what formation, what kind of company are you operating the Saucy Pig? Is it a corporation? Is it a sole proprietorship?
I'm a corporation for my business.
Okay. What's the name of that business?
The Saucy Pig Inc.
There is no company named the Saucy Pig listed by the state of Florida.
Yeah, right.
I'm looking at the records right now.
4 years worth.
I can't find
I formed this business.
It's SAU. Is this spelled right?
SAUSSIE. The Saucy Pig
It's called
Inc.
The Saucy Pig.
The Saucy Pig.
All right, I'll try it one more time.
I have every license under the sun of Florida for my restaurant.
SSI Pig, right?
SSIE.
IE. All right. All right. You're good.
I've been sitting here since 2 o'clock.
I know.
I have a son that needs to be picked up an hour
I feel sorry
ago,
for you, but we'll try to get
and
through
it
this.
started with a sign, and now it's this. Very, very caught me off guard. And it's quite frankly, I'm very upset right now. Very.
Let's figure this out. And by the way, if you just let us do this thing here, it'll go by a lot quicker, Mr. Brown.
I'm done.
The only other thing I could check from here is the Florida Division of Hotels and Restaurants.
What was the address listed under the?
Well, it's 85th Avenue or Road or Street or something.
That's my house address. That's my house.
That's your house?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here we go.
Tax receipt.
You have a place on US 1 also?
That place is closed. I closed that and opened up a full-on restaurant on 12798 County Road 512, Fellsmere, Florida. Now, see, the difference is the place you're referring to now, this guy owned that one too, in which he was my landlord at that point when I had my own separate identity. I don't need to be in a gas station. I have a full-blown standalone restaurant. He bought another gas station as to use the name because he's seen how well it went on US 1. So he wants to bring that name to where he's at and use the name.
What we're trying to do is we're trying to back up.
This is what the Florida Division of Hotels and Restaurants has listed for the Saucy Pig Incorporated. And these are all current active locations. 12798 County Road 512, Fellsmere. It's I guess showing your home address, 2300 85th Avenue, Vero Beach.
That's my house address.
Maybe they call that that's not the license location address. Let me stick to that. The County Road 512.
Mm-hmm.
County Road 512. There's different categories of licenses.
Right, have several different licenses.
Fellsmere, 1615 U.S. Highway 1, Vero Beach. That's the one you say is closed. Was that the old Mobiles? Not Mobile.
It's the old Chevron.
Chevron.
It's crossing
Chevron.
Mobile, yeah.
So you closed that.
Right.
Okay, they're just still showing.
Is there one that shows Aviation Boulevard?
I'm not
No.
Yeah.
seeing it.
So in
That's
actually,
exactly what it is.
so actually,
No, that's the only two locations they show.
so there's no violation to begin with, right?
Well, there's
Whether-
no restaurant in that name listed by the state at that location.
which would insinuate that what he's saying about the Chevron owner is correct. He's probably the guy that owns
He is the guy that owns
Yeah,
the
and
Saucy
his,
Pig, right?
Hang on just
For
a
that
second.
location.
I could check that name too.
You know, it's a gas station.
Right,
The
that's
house.
Airport Station Incorporated. If he's operating under that name.
Yeah, but the owner's name is Aziz. I have that right here on this. I have this right here. Yeah, he is the actual owner of the gas station. He took it over in I think February.
There's no restaurant license listed under the name Airport Station Incorporated, but
that's not
Well,
that's not our
yeah,
problem.
it could be under a different name.
Right.
Well, what it is, it's a gas station with significant food restaurant. Here's the.
What is it?
It's serving gas station service with significant food, which allows him to operate a
Oh no,
kitchen.
I'm talking about just the name.
Oh, okay.
What's
Yeah.
the name on? What's the name he's got on there?
Airport Chevron.
No, it's just Airport Chevron. it was the Airport Chevron Deli is what it was
That's right.
before,
It's always
Right.
Airport Chevron Deli.
It's always there.
So he's like, well, you had such a great time over there. Can I use the name? Absolutely.
Okay, he has
Why
a
not?
current active restaurant license there.
Yeah.
The Chevron does.
The Chevron does.
Yeah, well then
Yeah.
there's no violation, right? Because they can put, if they want to keep Saucy Pig on the sign and it's owned by the same person who has a license, then there's
So
no
long-
violation.
As long as Mr. Brown's not operating a
Right.
Right. He's not my
the
landlord. I
business,
don't
if
pay
the
him
guy
rent.
that's licensed there.
Yeah, I don't pay
as
him
long
rent.
as
He's
he
not my
has his-
landlord. The
Now
employees
he-
there get paid by him.
Now he may need a separate restaurant sales, tax
He has
receipt
that.
for that business, as opposed to just the gas station. I don't know.
No.
Mr. McGarry would have to answer that.
Right. What I'm trying to tell you is the gas station with significant food, all that's one license. He has all of that. He would never be able to obtain this without it. So
Yeah.
it's simply, I thought I was coming here for a sign issue, which turned into this, in which if the name is a problem, trust me.
No, I mean, we're not concerned. That's not our jurisdiction anyway,
He's-
right?
he's
Because
licensed
he's
there
licensed
as a
to do
restaurant.
it. So therefore, there was no violation.
So no violation. I move there's no violation.
I'll second that motion. All in favor? All
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Hearing none, motion carries. Ms. Brown, thank you.
Was that, there was,
Thank you, guys.
I voted no.
yeah, it passed 3-1. Mr. Fletcher voted no.
Mr. Brown,
Oh, 3-1, you say? Okay. So
you should protect your name. If you're proud of your restaurant and proud
Very
of the
proud
name
of
that you've, I wouldn't entrust it to even my own brother running a gas station. If he poisons somebody, they're not going to remember the little difference. They're going to remember Saucy made somebody sick.
And that's why I advise him, but also trust
Well-
him. In a time of need, he let me into 17th Street for a very great rate. This man done something for
All right,
me when I had
you
nothing.
owe him,
So I'm kind of repaying a debt, so to speak, and I'm allowing him to use a name and a brand I have built up. I now own a full-blown restaurant that started with his little gas station on 17th. So I'm kind of repaying a debt to him.
Okay.
By allowing him to use the name.
great. Well, thank you for coming in. I hope
Thank
that
you.
wasn't too brutal.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks, Mr. Brown.
Oh, one last thing. I did pay a $50 fine for the sign. Should I have paid that, or
Was that a separate-
or is this refund?
Was that citation?
I
Was that a
paid
separate-
$50 for which I thought was a sign, which I was here for. Here's the receipt for $50.
Was only one citation?
Yeah, well then.
Is this refundable or?
You got to be
Consider
careful what
it
you pay, because
$50 well
when you
spent.
paid that, you admitted the
I can do that.
violation.
Well, I didn't understand all this. I thought it was for a sign. But whatever.
Get out while
$50
you
is
can.
$50 to be done with it. $50 well spent.
Do you get a refund?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's
just,
a refund.
Yeah, because
I just need to get your address and stuff. if
you gotta
it'll come
really-
by right after.
You got to really read these things, because it doesn't say anything about a sign. It says business tax.
Right.
That's it. Doesn't say anything about.
See, when
sign.
you paid,
But her verbal words to me, and she sent me pictures where she took signs of signs on a building.
Okay, it's been settled.
Yeah, yeah,
Misinterpretation.
sorry.
Let's go ahead. We'll stop it right there. But
Yes, sir.
They'll mail you a
you should
refund.
leave your contact information with the clerk.
Yeah, if you could just give it to the
I'll
clerk's office and ask them to give it to Sherry, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, case number 15-CE-5505, Hogar Community.
Neither, please.
Sorry? Reinvestments.
You guys.
The lucky last.
I want to know how come you didn't bring any ribs in for me.
Were you both sworn in?
I was not.
You were not?
I was.
Chair, are you going to speak, sir?
If you ask me
You
questions,
might.
I most certainly
You might.
will.
Sherry, would you swear in, please?
If you'll raise your right hand, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God?
I most certainly do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If I can just bring up to date, looking at the backup, there was already an order issued in this to correct violation, and let's see what else. There was previously a notice of assessment before that. Yeah.
On the wrong page.
Yeah, the original order to correct has been recorded. However, I understand Tom can explain about condition now if it's been corrected or whatever. And actually, this would be to set the total amount of penalties and costs to be paid if there's a finding of that it's been corrected. And I believe this young lady is here to ask you to reduce it.
Okay, great. Well, let's hear from Officer Ramsey first, then.
Okay, there was a citation on site, and it was for overgrowth and stagnant and green pool. Citation was paid. Then there was an order requesting the continuing penalties until the compliance. It finally reached compliance, to our knowledge, on July 30th, 2015. It had accrued, total cost of $16,700. In addition, several other smaller fees for recording fees, attorney fees, my costs, things of that nature, bringing the total cost for compliance on this property to $16,863.77.
That would be the estimated. Estimated. Thank you.
Sorry, you're right. $16,863.77.
And ma'am, state your name for the record
Bernadine Jones.
and address.
7741 South Military Trail, Suite 1, Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, 33410.
Thank you. Okay. Tell me a little bit about what's transpired.
Well, the owner of this property, the violations were from the previous owner of this property. We did not take title of this property. We got the deed on May 1st of 2015, so these were previous owner violations. And once we did purchase it, we Steve is our project manager for that property. We got into compliance, within 60 days of purchasing the property. So we are asking for the reduction, being that they are prior owners, and we did do a great rehab on this property, which Steve can explain too. That we spent, a little over $17,000 on. We did get some permitting in place that Steve worked on as well, and he'll be speaking about that in order to get these violations cleared. I think the code officer knows about that too. We had it took quite a while to get the permitting in place. Everything that was from the previous owner, we kind of inherited these issues on this property.
Happens. Steve?
We did. Yes.
Yes. As soon as I received the property to manage it, the first thing I did was call someone out to take care of the lawn. I had somebody come home from Delray or Boca to pump the pool out, acid wash it, fill it up, put new equipment on it, and I'm sure Tommy can attest, and pretty much everybody throughout the city or the county, they know that if I go out and do something, we only do it one way, the right way. And I cannot afford to spend time not doing it right and making sure that everybody's happy.
How long did it take you you said 60 days. Was that about how long it took you to get everything complete?
It was actually less than that. I think I got the property sometime in the beginning of June, middle of June, and as soon as I got it, I started working on it immediately. And the first thing I did was get the lawn mowed and get the pool pumped and get it fixed.
Officer Ramsey.
Everything they've said is correct.
I was just going to add, I believe this was a foreclosure where the bank had foreclosed on it. Did you all buy it from?
We purchased it from the actual owner with a special warranty deed. We took it from the actual owner.
But it looked like it may have been in foreclosure, though?
Yes.
Yes.
Under threat of foreclosure, he sold it, and
yes.
You guys paid off the mortgage?
Yes, we did.
And any liens attached would have had to been paid at that time, right? So if they were
Well, they're actually new owners, and if it hadn't been now corrected, they would be cited as the owners of the property if the violation hadn't been corrected.
right.
But this kind of in the interim, this case was still outstanding and hadn't been finalized, and they are the ones that stepped up and corrected it, obviously.
And I'd rather have a property that's beautiful and nice than something that's run
On
down.
the tax road.
Well, that's what happened here. I think this
Yeah,
property was really
exactly.
extremely run
The
down. I
tax
have our
revenue.
expenses here that we've spent just on the rehab alone, $17,546 just on the rehab, not including our permitting costs and mold remediation. We had to do a major mold remediation in this house, which cost us $7,000 that we weren't aware of when we did get the property. So we had to do that, and then the permitting costs. So everything came,
Plus your
well over
purchase of the
$30,000 between permitting, mold remediation, and the rehab just to bring this property to, if you go by, I'm sure you're going to be really happy with it now.
Officer
really great for the
Ramsey,
community.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Okay, no, it's okay.
Do you have an idea what it would take to recoup the city's cost just of
That's
enforcement?
exactly what I'm interested in.
Just to recoup our taxpayers?
The rest of this needs to go away.
Yes.
Roughly $140.
Okay. So I'll make a motion that the violation.
We would, is that including a lien release and recording and all that?
Those are the costs I added up.
Okay.
Did you round up?
I did.
Okay. Okay. You have a question, Miss? I'm sorry. Maybe I'm pushing to get through this too fast, but
When you went to closing, they didn't have a stipulation that this was outstanding?
It was purchased with liens on the property, but the guy was in dire need to sell, the people that owned it, and we went ahead. We do that. We do a lot of rehabs on properties. We do a lot of Palm Beach County. It's my first time in Vero Beach with you guys, but we do mainly Palm Beach. But we just started up in Vero up here. And a lot of times when you purchase down there, we pay what the expenses are because the cities are really happy to get the properties back on the tax rolls, getting the property back as a beautiful part of the community, not a eyesore. So that's what we do, and we do amazing rehabs on these properties and get new families living in there. And that's what I think that everybody wants.
You sell your properties or you rent them?
We sell them. We get them up to FHA standards because we sell to loan. A lot of first-time home buyers. Our properties range in that $100,000, $200,000, no more than $300,000 range. So it's a lot of first-time FHA home buyers that we get into our properties.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I just looked at the totals that Sherry had, and I'd be more comfortable with it at $200.
Would you? Okay.
That's going up.
Cover all the city's costs as far as the paperwork.
Well, I'll make a motion that the violation has been corrected and that the fines.
There was an initial civil penalty of $100 already paid, so you would have you basically would leave it at that $100 unless you're going to add anything to it, plus the cost of $200.
Okay.
Yeah, plus the cost of $200.
Sure. So I find that its violation no longer exists, and that we have the cost to enforce of $200 stands, and that the penalty of $100 has been paid. And I'd like a second.
Second.
Yeah.
We're reducing.
The total civil penalties are reduced to
reducing the penalty to
$100.
$200.
To
I said the cost to
$100.
enforce. So.
But you're reducing the total. There was a continuing penalties
Right.
on there.
The
so
total
you
civil
did it.
penalties are reduced to $100,
I see.
which is paid, and then you're assessing the $200 cost of enforcement.
So my motion is that the total civil penalty of $100 stands has been paid, and that they've been reduced to $100 and been paid, and that the cost of enforcement of $200 stands.
He's got it paid.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? All opposed?
Aye.
Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you very much. Now we're going to want to get more properties in Vero Beach.
Thanks for fixing that property up.
Yeah.
Yes, well, hopefully we'll get some more.
Does anyone
Give us some. If you know any, call. We buy a couple hundred just in Palm Beach alone a year. So if you have any here, you want to let us know. We'll pick them up and fix them up for you.
Thanks for coming in.
Do I get something in writing on that so I can pay it tomorrow?
We can give the address to the lady that was here from the bank. It's desperately in need of rehab.
What's that address, by the way? You got the address? Okay.
You did?
Okay.
We were thinking that when we were listening to her.
It's been dragging on in foreclosure forever.
That's right.
Did you adjourn?
Well, meeting is adjourned.